Welcome back to Chip's Corner this weekend. Chip, we've been covering highly pathogenic avian influenza since we heard that there was this mystery illness in dairy cattle, confirmed that it was HPAI. This story, though, is evolving by the day. More confirmed cases in dairies, more confirmed cases, and just devastating news to a couple large poultry operations.
Yep.
But I know you've been following this story closely as well.
Yeah, HPAI, Tyne, it's a story that we'd almost become numb to, just simply because it was commonplace in the poultry industry. But as soon as it makes the jump over to the dairy industry, it's a completely different story now than what it was. And the way that the cattle market has been reacting to it is a whole other story that we'll get to here in a bit. But the important thing to understand is that they are working hard to get this under control. We had a conversation with Dr. Fred Gingrich from the Bovine Practitioners Association of Bovine Practitioners last week on AgriTalk. I thought it was very important for people to understand that transmission from animal to human is very rare.
There's been 200 cases of HPAI in mammals. This is basically a global problem, this HPAI virus. Who's at risk when you're talking about humans? Our biggest at-risk population would be the veterinarians and employees of dairy farms because they are primarily around the infected animals. The risk to the consuming public is very, very, very low because we know that pasteurization destroys the virus. And so drinking milk, eating beef, that remains safe.
That remains safe. That I also had a conversation with Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller on Thursday's AgriTalk. I thought it was very important. We talked about how consumers are reacting and the safety of the food supply. Honestly, if you are buying your product, your milk through traditional grocery stores, there is no risk here, Tyne. There is no risk that the virus is going to make its way through a pasteurized gallon of milk into your refrigerator. It's just not going to happen. That's what the whole food system is designed to do, is to keep our food supply safe, and it's doing just that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Dr. Gingrich, he has been up on top of this. He's been my go-to source since this story broke. He's so good at just giving us the facts. I did ask him Thursday, Chip. I asked him, is there any way that we're seeing this transmitted from cow to employee to cow? Is that how we're seeing some of the spread throughout these dairy operations? And he said he does not know any cases like that yet. So I did ask him that question, but it's been interesting to see that the dairy markets really haven't reacted to the news much. Not the story in cattle.
Right. And as quickly as it is spreading, Tyne, your question about cow to human back to cow, excellent question. One that we need to think about and we need to consider and we need to guard against. The biosecurity efforts inside of the dairies has to be ramped up to prevent any of that from happening. But you're exactly right. With cattle prices up around all-time highs, or they backed off of the all-time highs, but the first reaction happened when we were very close to all-time highs. What it does is it shows the vulnerability of a market when we are trading at thin air levels, those all-time high levels. It doesn't, it can take something as like this HPAI in dairy to have a big impact on the beef market, just simply because of concern. I think it's completely manufactured, Tyne, to be honest with you, but it is still concern over how consumers might react to the threat to food safety.
Exactly.
You've got to have the price protection in place by now.
Well, as the CDC pointed out again this week, the milk that you consume, if it's pasteurized, and the meat that you consume, if it's cooked to the right temperature, it's safe. The products are safe, and they're trying to reassure consumers of that. But you're right, the fear of the unknown. Well, Chip Flory, thank you so much for joining us this weekend. You can catch Chip 10 a.m. Central for AgriTalk AM, and then 2 p.m. Central for AgriTalk PM. A big thank you, Chip. All right, We need to take a quick break, and then we're traveling the countryside with Andrew McCrae next.